It's funny, in a video where I was talking about how you need to turn off the biometrics on your phone if you are going to a protest, because last year the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the cops can basically force you to open your phone with your thumb or your face, right? You can be handcuffed and they can take your thumb and force you to put it on your phone, or they can hold it up to your face and unlock your phone, and then they can look at everything you have in there. They don't need a warrant to do that. They cannot compel you, however, to tell them what the code is to get into your phone. And so you need to turn off biometrics. So the only way to access your phone is by entering a code. You just invoke your right to remain silent, and they cannot compel you to give them the code. But the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals did rule that they can use your face or your thumbprint without your permission. They don't need a warrant to do that. And then it's just like, a buffet. They can look at your banking information. They can look at where you've been traveling in the Maps app. They can look at your private communications. They can go look at your purchase history. They can look at whatever they want. So, if you want to have an expectation of privacy, if the cops detain you, you need to turn off your biometrics. So on that video, I got so many comments from people who I think are all MAGA. They're pretty much all MAGA. I'm not quite sure if Julie is here. I didn't bother to go check out her content. But they're all asking some version of this. Well, why would you want to prevent the cops from looking at your phone? What are you trying to hide? Why would you not want the cops to see what you have on your phone? Why do we need them to not get in our phones? You didn't answer that. Right, I get, Julia, that this is some gotcha. Like, your presumption is that I must be doing illegal shit, or other protesters must be doing illegal shit, and that's why we don't want the cops to get into our phones. That's very much a typical alt-right, MAGA conservative line of thinking, which is so weird to me, because aren't y'all the don't tread on me folks? You don't have to have done anything illegal to want your right to privacy. You don't have to have done anything wrong to want to maintain your constitutional rights and make sure that the government does not invade your privacy and access your information without your permission. This is about our rights being trampled. This is about how if you are detained by the police under this current regime, with all of the authoritarian overreach and lawlessness that is occurring, you cannot guarantee that your rights will be upheld. I mean, you cannot guarantee that law enforcement will uphold your rights in the first place, because police officers are not experts on the law. I bet you didn't know that. They're not experts on the law, and they actually have minimal training, and they frequently break the law. That's why we have all of the Supreme Court case history to go by. Like, how do you think you got your Miranda rights? Why do you think we have laws protecting our basic rights, including the right to privacy, including the right to remain silent, including the right to protect yourself from self-incrimination, including the right to be protected from unreasonable search and seizure by the state? Why do you think that all of that has to be codified into law, Julie? Is it because the government is so benevolent? Is it because the government is so good at protecting the rights of people? Is it because law enforcement is going to prioritize your rights? Is it because law enforcement is going to uphold your liberties on their own? Like, give me a fucking break. We have a First Amendment right to protest. Protesting is something that this country was founded on. Protesting is a basic right in the United States. There's nothing wrong with somebody protesting. It is the most American thing that you can do to stand up and protest against tyranny. Do you forget the Boston Tea Party? Do you forget why it is that we fought an entire war to get free of England? So I get what you and other MAGAs are trying to do. You're saying, oh, well, if you want to defend your rights, if you want to protect your privacy, if you don't want the cops infringing upon your rights, you're concerned about making sure that they don't access information that you don't want them to look at, you must be doing something nefarious. You must be naughty. You must be a lawbreaker. Well, then you fundamentally misunderstand what this country was founded on, what our rights are meant to protect us from, what it is to live in a country with basic freedoms. I mean, no wonder we live in an authoritarian state, so you might not be familiar with the fact that we actually have constitutional rights. We actually have a right to defend them. And that the reason that those rights have been codified into law is because the state will time and time again try and trample on you. So the reason that we turn our biometrics off on our phones is not because we're doing anything wrong. It's because we're using the law to make sure that the state doesn't fucking meddle in our business, that the state doesn't try to access our private information that they have no right to view. We are here to defend our liberty. And I get that y'all MAGA are just so willing to offer yours up on a gaudy gold-plated platter to Donald Trump. You are willing to take up a servile posture where you give up your basic freedoms in order to gain approval from dear leader. But freedom-loving, patriotic Americans, we're not willing to do that. We know what our foremothers and forefathers fought and died for. Our rights are hard-earned, and we are not going to give them up to a fascist regime.